Do you love dumplings as much as I do? They were once one of my greatest joys, but since being diagnosed, one of my greatest struggles is trying to find a gluten-free replacement. But these wrappers are tender and light and not dense at all. Just look at that wiggle. The filling is honestly the easy part. You can make with it whatever you have in your kitchen. I happen to have a lot of culantro, long leaf coriander, so I used it here. You can substitute cilantro or even leeks or green onions if you don't have culantro. Roughly tear or chop up your herbs and add to a food processor or blender. Add some freshly peeled ginger, and chop until fine. You'll need uncooked, peeled, and deveined shrimp of any size. You can also use ground pork or chicken. Add in small batches to your food processor. Blend until fully smooth, but try not to overprocess or overcrowd your food processor. Set aside in a large bowl and continue until you have blended all of your protein. Add 1 egg white to help the mixture bind. Some freshly cracked pepper, these are rainbow peppercorns. A bit of Chinese 5-spice. Some mirin or rice wine. A splash of sesame oil, and mix until well combined. The final step in the filling is to add a bit of cornstarch. I used about 23 grams. Mix well to combine and place in the refrigerator while you make the dough. For the dumpling wrappers, you will need sweet rice powder to make this recipe work. You can find it online or at an Asian supermarket. Note that this is different from rice flour. Weigh all of your ingredients. This is extremely important in making any gluten-free dough. This is tapioca starch, also imperative to this recipe. This is usually easier to find, but can also be bought online. This is not expandex and can't be replaced with expandex, which is a modified tapioca starch. You'll want to use regular tapioca starch in this recipe. Next, you'll need my standard gluten-free flour blend. The full recipe for this blend is in the description. Add xanthan gum and mix the dry ingredients until fully combined. Warm your water to 43 degrees Celsius or 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Slowly pour the water into the dry mixture. I use a circular pattern to distribute it evenly, and then begin stirring. It will form a sandy texture. Once you can't mix any more with a fork, start with your hands. Gloves work best for this type of dough. Continue kneading until it is fully combined. This will take quite a while. The dough needs to be well worked. Once it is smooth, cover with a warm, damp towel to keep it moist while we form the dumplings. We use this dough immediately, so there is no rest time. Pull off a small portion of dough of about 15 to 16 grams and roll between your hands to form a smooth ball. Use a heavy rolling pin to roll the dough out carefully, as thin as you can without the dough breaking. Turn the dough and continue rolling to form an oval shape of about 6 centimeters in width. Use tapioca or cornstarch to dust your working surface if you need to, and have a small bowl of water nearby for sealing the dumplings. Use a bench scraper to carefully pick up the dough. If it cracks, reform a ball in your hands and start over. This is how it should look before you start forming the dumpling. I'm using a dumpling press that I purchased from Amazon. Folding gluten-free dumplings by hand is difficult, but it is possible. Place a small portion of the filling in the center of the dumpling, leaving enough room on all sides for the dumpling to seal. Dip your fingers in water and slide across the exposed dough to act like a glue. As you close the dumpling press, make sure the filling does not push towards the outer edges, otherwise the dumpling will not seal properly. Press firmly to seal with your hands or the rolling pin, and remove the excess dough from the edges of the press before opening. You can return the excess to your dough bowl to use for the next dumpling. Carefully open the press and remove your dumpling, checking to make sure it's fully sealed. Congratulations! You've made a gluten-free dumpling. Now to make 100 more. I'm kidding, kind of, but this recipe makes about 30. Make sure to keep both the dough and your formed dumplings covered with a damp towel at all times. The dumpling won't taste as good if it dries out before cooking. Once you've formed all of your dumplings, it's time to cook them. I prefer pan-seared dumplings, but you could also steam or deep fry these. To pan-sear, heat a large sauté pan on medium-high and lightly coat it with oil. I use sesame oil. I usually cook these in 2 different sauté pans at once to shorten the cooking time, since only a few dumplings can fit in the pan at once. Once the pan is hot, add in your dumplings. Don't crowd the pan too much, but they can touch slightly. Let them cook for a few seconds before adding 2 to 3 tablespoons of water in the hot pan and cover, lowering the temperature to medium. Let simmer for 5 minutes or until the water has evaporated. Once the water evaporates, turn the dumplings over to their other side, cover again, and cook until golden on both sides. Transfer to a plate and serve immediately with a dipping sauce of your choice. And these are our beautiful gluten-free shrimp dumplings. I used to love going to dim sum on the weekends before being diagnosed celiac, and these dumplings really calm those cravings. I'll be experimenting with more shapes and flavors this year, so let me know what your favorite type of dumpling is in the comments. I'm trying to make 2021 a better year for me, and I have big plans for this channel. If you like this content, I'd really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.